G'day YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, this clip's just a talk about the TE20 hydraulic pump. And over the years, from 1946 to 1955, they made some changes to the pump, and as with all tractor manufacturers, as the life of a particular model goes on, they do small improvements to make it more reliable, easier to service, or for any number of reasons, even to make it cheaper in manufacture nowadays. So with our hydraulic pumps, there's a TE20 hydraulic pumps, from one end of the production to the other end of the production, they're vastly different. So hopefully I'm going to put out here today what I've found out, what I know about it, and there'll be people that know more about this subject than myself, and in the comments down the bottom of this video, please put whatever you know. It's not a I'm cleverer than you, you're cleverer than me thing. It's just a resource for people that are interested in the TE20 to somewhere they can come and have a look and see what's changed, and some information's I've found very easy to find. Other information, it was quite hard to find. I've had to scrummage around and look at a few things like that. I'm in the Ferguson Tractor Club of Australia, so there is in our newsletters from time to time, there's information on the tractors, there's forums around, there's all sorts of things, but getting it all collated into one area is sometimes a bit difficult. So anyway, that's what this is about. I have a 1955 publication of, and it's got no cover on it anymore, but it's a 1955 print of the Ferguson Tractor Workshop Manual. It was made by Ferguson of Australia Limited. Now I don't imagine it will be much different to the others, but in this they've actually given us a bit of a breakdown of what changed when, and being at the end of the run of the tractors, we can presume that most of the information is in this book. So I've done a board up of it. I will put I've just made a little clip actually of the board that you can close up on, and you can freeze frame it or anything you like. Yeah, do what you like with it. Well, here's a close-up of the whiteboard that I did. You'll see at the top of the board there the YouTube crew. They're the people that I support and who support me and my channel. And Bundy Bear's Shed, that's me. So look, have a read of that. You can pause it if you like to take a note down or something, but that's the information I can find. If there is more information out there, and look, there's always more information out there, please leave it in a note down the bottom of this video, and hopefully we can use this as a bit of a resource. So people wanting to know more about the little Fergie pump, I've got somewhere to have a bit of a look. But look, I'll run through a few things that I have bits and pieces here for. My 1948 TE20 is what I'm working on, but neither of these pumps are out of that. This is off a pump I did up ages ago for a tractor, but I sold the tractor, and I think the tractor actually went under a flood, and but I had the pump out, so a stroke of luck there. It's a later pump. And this is an old pump. It's a seized pump that I had. I've already pulled my pump apart, and to restore my pump, I'm doing a separate video on stripping the pump, cleaning it, and what I do to get it together. Sometimes I buy parts. I own a business called Queensland Tractor Spares, and we sell Sparex parts and Bearco parts and things like that. So sometimes I'm happy to put new parts in. Other times the challenge of repairing something yourself for little money is a great bit of fun. if you have a lathe or a few bits and pieces like that handy to yourself. So let's run through a few things, and yeah, we'll just keep it as informative as I know how. But look, don't be afraid to comment down the bottom. Constructive criticism, not cat's ass stuff. So just keep it friendly as we can. So the first thing I found was that serial number 134,001. They went to an oscillating control valve, and they fitted an alloy stabiliser to the lift fork. So let's have a look at that. I haven't got an alloy stabiliser on the lift fork here, but where the lift fork comes down from your top link, or from your top cover, and works your control valve back and forth. To get the control valve off, this is just one I had out, and I've got a few older tractors outside. So look, the valve sits like that in the fork, and to get the pump out, what you would have done is spread that and got that out. So in the later tractors, once they changed the control valve, they actually put an alloy block in here, and the alloy block was to take any stress or any extra movement out of the fork, I believe. Now this control valve here is a standard control valve. You'll see at this end, it's just a solid end, and for all counts, they're all the same. This control valve here, you can see the difference in the end. This would have had the long bar with the square on the end of it. I don't have one to show you. I can buy new control valves, like that's a new control valve. I don't know whether it's a Bearco or Sparex or whatever, but that's a new control valve. So I don't, apart from genuine, I don't know where I can buy this long rod here. So what it had was a rod, probably so long, with a square on the end and a circlip holding it in, and the square located in here on this fork. Then when the pump turned, when this pump turned round and round, the fork went back and forth, and just that little bit of rocking movement kept the pump control valve from sticking. So because the pump control valve is at the bottom of the transmission compartment, and particularly if you've got a bit of condensation if your tractor was left outside, this control valve would stick. Some tractors that just did drawbar work, the control valve would stay in one place for a long time, and so it would stick, or a little bit of rubbish would get in, and as it sucked up from the bottom to let the oil into the pump, it might get a little bit of rubbish up and jam the valve. So apparently it was a problem enough to change it. So that's what Harry Ferguson did. So at serial number 134,001, they put an oscillating control valve in. When they put the oscillating control valve in, obviously this valve was then going like that constantly, and apparently there must have been a little bit of movement. They were trying to stop any movement here, which may have made the draft less sensitive or something, I presume. I don't know that, I presume that. They put a shield below the safety valve. Now, I don't have a pump with that on it here at the moment, but I'll just put that over there out of the way. I don't have a pump with that on it. So what they did is, under here there was a little aluminium plate at right angles. It had come down the front here and out the back, and the idea of it is where your plug is here in the bottom of your pump, that's your main drain for your pump. That's the lowest area. So everything goes down towards that drain plug. So that's the lowest point. And so anything that gets in there, as in a little bit of dirt or any foreign material, a little bit off a tooth if you've been rough, it would all probably end up down in that lowest part. So when the control valve blew off, when you come to maximum lift, or you were trying to lift something that made the valve pop off, what they were concerned about was these little holes here. When the relief valve lifts off its seat, it puts quite a squirt of oil out here. So what they were worried about was the squirt of oil would go down into that bottom there, stir up the rubbish at the lowest point, and just in there a little bit, the pump sucks its oil up. So with the control valve sitting here and this blowing off there and the valves moving back and forth, they were concerned about the rubbish from the bottom or any foreign material jamming the valve up. It also said that grooves in the control valve were deleted. So I don't have a control valve with a groove in it, so I don't know about that too much at all. It's just the information I found. So its serial number 2001. They put extra ports in the lift cover, so that's in your hydraulic cover, not to do with your pump so much. It's just they put a couple of ports where you could take a bit of oil supply off and things like that. And the reason I put that there is they changed the valve guides. Now when you have a raise and lower valve, I'll just put this back together for you as soon as I knocked it over. Your raise and lower valves, or not your raise and lower valves, but your valves in your pump sit like that. And in the pump they actually sit like that. And they have a guide pin in through the middle to keep everything nice and true, this pin here. And so at 2000 and serial number 200,001, I stand corrected, they were concerned about oil coming between these two surfaces here. And so they actually put a cap on here, and with the cap they actually shortened this cap here a little bit. So because the end of the valve here was slightly longer, because the valve here was slightly longer, because of the cap, they had to take a little piece off the top here. So there was a difference there. So these caps are different lengths. So don't probably mix them up from one pump to another. It's the same cap, like all the caps are the same all around the pumps, but at 200,001 they changed the valve guide. So I think they made this a little shorter and they put a cap on it, and it was just a concern about high pressure oil coming out through there and being lost. On the valve chambers, which is these fellas here, this is the valve chamber. There your caps, and the valves go up and down in here, one for each cylinder. And well, that's serial number 386,543. I'll read it out of the manual what it says. You'll notice the housings are different through here and through there. They've changed that to support this extra sleeve out the back here. But what it says, the tractor serial number 286543, O-ring oil seals mounted in a groove at the inlet and outlet oil transfer ports of the hydraulic pump were introduced to improve the joint between the pump base and the valve chambers. These seals supersede the gasket previously fitted. The deletion of the gasket reduced slightly the distance between the two valve chambers, and the PDO support was modified at the face adjoining the valve chambers from 5.028, so they had a tolerance from 5.028 to 5.032 to 4.997 to 4.999. So they've knocked about 20 thou roughly out of that. And it says, yeah, the valve chambers from 5,028 to, I'll read that again. The deletion of the gaskets reduced slightly the distance between the two valve chambers, and the PDO support was modified at the face adjoining the valve chambers from 5.028 to 4.997 to accommodate this. And so they've actually made a change 20 thou worth because the gaskets weren't there. And it says at this time also metal was added to the pump base, casting and longer bolts were introduced to suit. So I'm presuming that's the casting bits down here. I'm presuming that, I don't know. So anyone who was working on them at the time, feel free. Put in a note down the bottom here for us. At serial number 330,044, they put a new improved safety valve in. And this is your safety valve here. It looks different to the old one. Just hang on, I'll grab one. Excuse me for that. This is the old safety valve. You can see the difference in the shape here. This is off my 1948 one. And you can see the difference of this here. So it was an improved design. They must have had a little bit of trouble with it along the way. And because of the different design of the safety valve, they must have changed the way that it squirted all the oil out here, because at 330,044, that little shield they had here, they took it away again. So they thought, well, we don't need that anymore. So there you go. Now, at serial number 374,948, the grooves that they deleted in the control valve were put back in. So they must have had some need for it, yeah, to have air passing through or something like that. They just changed it. I don't know why. Someone might be able to help us there too. And at serial number 407,102, this bar that come out the back and hooked into the square of the fork there, it went to flat. Instead of a square up the other end, it went flat. So I don't know why they've done that. The guide at the back of the pump, well, actually it's the front of the pump, but it's you know what I mean. This guide here, where the plunger, or where the little square was, it then had two grooves up it. This screw that holds the sleeve in was made a little shorter, and the screw just held the valve in, it didn't do anything else. So yeah, the oscillating valve from square to flat, and the bush at the rear has locating groove for the valve. So I've got a couple of photos of that. I've taken photos out of my 1955 manual to try and explain things a little bit better than I know how to. But yeah, it's an interesting subject. This doesn't cover what was changed in the lift cover. That's a different story. There was a few changes there along the way, from gaskets to O-rings and things like that. But look, hopefully this is helpful if you're doing up a Fergie or you're just interested in Fergies. But if you can fill some of the gaps that I don't know about, put it down the bottom there. So anyone watching the video, later on they can go down and read the comments and you a little bit more information. So look, that'll do for the moment. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see on my channel. You never know what's going to be on there really, but it's a bit of a hobby for me, and we do have a couple of ads on the front, and if you can persist and watch a couple of ads, well, that helps fund the channel. So, and in my case, even though I can buy parts cheaply, that helps me buy parts to show you and keep the channel going. So anyway, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. It's all about getting to know people and having a chat. We'll catch you later, eh? I'd just like to put a little note out on this clip about when you're playing with the pumps and the gaskets here and the gaskets in here. Those gaskets were made in an era where asbestos was used. Now, asbestos is dangerous stuff, so try and scrape the gaskets off with a hand scraper if you can. I often bead blast mine off. If you take them up to the wire brush on the side of your grinder, you will have asbestos particles everywhere. So wear breathing protection, look after yourself, and yeah, you may not have thought of that, but look, be careful, because a lot of these old gaskets in these old tractors, asbestos was a good thing to use at the time. Now times have changed, so keep that in mind, and yeah, hopefully we can all live to a ripe old age and gin around with our tractors and go on grand parades and drive around with a big grin. I won't have a tooth by then. Yeah. See how we go.